Hey everyone, hey and welcome back to yet another episode of Battle Rap Resume. This is your host Tom Quee. I want to kick off as I always do by saying thank you so much for listening. Thank you for subscribing to the show, however you subscribe, be it on YouTube, be it on iTunes, Stitcher, Downcast, all that good stuff. If you want to help support the show, there's lots you can do. You can follow us at Battle Rap Resume on the Twitter if you want to know about upcoming episodes. I post loads of links to old episodes, that sort of stuff like that. Also, be sure to go on the YouTube, check out the archive, there's tons of good stuff on there. If you want to get in touch with me as well, battlerapresume@gmail.com. And if you're wondering, I mean, I always say battlerapresume@gmail.com, and if you're wondering where those emails go, I do answer them all personally, so if you get in touch with me, I'd love to hear from you. People do get in touch weekly, which is great, and I also read them out on the Patreon. I have an exclusive show on the Patreon called Resume Review, where basically I read through the emails, I talk about the show that month, what's gone down behind the scenes, also talk about battles that I've enjoyed that maybe I haven't mentioned that month on the show. So if you go onto the Patreon, patreon.com/battlerapresume, there's two main tiers really. The first tier gets you access, sort of premium access to all the videos that I do, all my top 10s, all my most dislikes, my top 10 Scottish battlers with Scott Early did recently, that went on there, and Resume Review. We're basically asking for about £1 a month for that, and if you want to donate a little bit more, it's $5, so what's that, about £3, sort of like that. You can get access to all of that stuff, and 2 Battle Rap Resume episodes, always the biggest guests that I'll put on there. So, you know, Tony's been on there, Respect the A, Dialect, all that sort of stuff, all the Dirtbag Dan as well, all those sort of people are going to be on there, so definitely check that out. It's patreon.com/Battle Rap Resume. Thank you for that. What else is that? Our Redbubble, go onto our Redbubble shop, redbubble.com/Battle Resume, pick up some merch, some mouse mats, some stickers, notebooks, whatever you want, all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited to have a great friend of the show back onto the show, and I can't believe it, I'm introducing him as the new champ of Don't Flop. Shox, how's it going, man?
Not bad, man. You?
It's awesome. It's awesome to have you on. And we were just saying before, you know, you're a very humble guy, you know, lovely, down to earth sort of guy, but you allowed yourself a little bit of an indulgence. You've got the crown emoji in your Twitter name.
Do you know what? A friend of mine hit me up and he was like, bro, I'm sick of you always telling people that it was close and you did this and you're a nice guy. He said, just take some fucking shine. So I was like, I'm going to put the emoji in it. Yeah. I'm sure that's going to be an angle somewhere down the line.
Yeah, Gemini will rinse that in his second round. It'll just be
no doubt.
It will be. And I mean, we're recording this exactly a week, the next Sunday following Checkpoint 4. How has your week been? I mean, I appreciate it's just battle rap sort of thing. It's not like the winning a World Cup final, but in our little world, it's crazy. Like, you know, what are your thoughts on this?
It's been a bit of a mental one, to be honest. I'm charging my phone like 3 times a day at the minute because it's just consistent messages from all sides of the globe, which is crazy. Like, you know, I mean, it's what I do this for. I don't do it for financial gain. It's more because I love the scene and being a part of the culture. And when I first started out, I said I was going to be champ within 3 years, and everyone sort of laughed, and I did it. And it's mad. It's a mad feeling at the minute. You know, I'm just, more so than anything, I'm just glad we put on the battle that everybody wanted to see. It was crazy.
Yeah. It lived up to every expectation and more. You know, it's early really to say like classic or whatever, but I've watched it a lot. Obviously I saw it in person, I watched it on the pay-per-view, watched it a lot for making these notes and sort of stuff, and it's just a masterpiece, isn't it? Like, all 6 rounds, I think you just terrific stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, I knew it was soul. I had to give it my absolute all going into it. There was no way that I could half-ass it. I couldn't have any filler. It had to literally just be, every line had to count for something. And you know, it's soul. You know what he's going to come with from the jump. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll get into that when we break down each round. But it was just, I mean, more so as a fan, I was just, you know, excited to hear what he was going to say. I knew my performance. I knew what I was going to say. I knew how that would, you know, I've got into a stage where I can write now knowing what the crowd's going to react to, and I kind of knew what I was going to get from it. But I just wanted to hear what he was going to say, and he didn't disappoint one bit. I was going through I think you're great on Twitter. You mentioned your Twitter before, and something you tweeted just before the match, which summed up your kind of progress, which I thought was so good. Checkpoint 1, YouTube fan. Checkpoint 2, in the crowd. Checkpoint 3, bottom of the card. Checkpoint 4, top of the card. Like, it is like, you know, the drive you have, Shox, it's unbelievable. It's just, I love it. You know, it's my life is quite complicated in a lot of ways, and it is one thing where I can just, you know, it's entirely up to me how it goes. There's not much of that in my life, to be quite honest. So like, when it comes to battle rap, it's in my hands. You know, I can do with it what I want to do with it and get out what I want to get out, and it's all on me on how I progress through it. And it's, you know, we've spoke about this before on the show, like writing comes easy to me in that sense. I write constantly. So it's kind of the pieces are falling into place. But yeah, it was that night that I wrote that tweet. I was just laying in bed drinking cognac, just watching crime documentaries and stupid shit. And it come to me. I just started thinking, and I was like, wow, this is like literally every checkpoint I've been at a completely different point of this journey. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, man. Fun times.
When I was at Checkpoint 4 walking out, you were one of the first person I saw. You know, I asked you said you were really ready when I was doing the interviews outside and stuff. Like, you know, obviously we did an interview and I sort of spotted you just sort of, you know, cracking jokes with everyone. Like, you seemed very, very, you know, you weren't kind of in your head. Were you just feeling quite confident on the day?
No, do you know what? Not even. It wasn't a confidence thing. It was just, like I said, I'd edited my rounds down to where I felt I couldn't possibly squeeze another ounce out of them. So at that point, I just knew, like, there's nothing more I can do. If I go there and I spend the whole day worried, and then I'm not going to enjoy the moment. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's about. I wasn't going there like, I've got to win this, my life depends on it. It was just, I've waited to do this battle. You know, I'm battling arguably the greatest writer in UK battle rap history. I've got to, like, it's going to be insane. Do you know what I mean? And I knew that. And all my friends were there, like, the card itself was incredible. All of the battles, I was like, I want to see all of these. I want to enjoy it as a fan, not like Bobby Rex. If you speak to Bobby Rex, he'll tell you. I think there was one point in the whole day that I actually went up the road to rehearse my bars because I wasn't. Yeah, because I didn't want to be that guy that spent the whole event outside going over and over my rounds. Like, I made sure they were locked, and nothing that I worried about was going to change the outcome. So just enjoy the event, watch the battles, be part of the crowd. That was it. You know, even when after Tony and ours and everybody cleared out, like waiting for this battle, I just got up on stage. I was just stood on stage looking at the crowd. Like, I was just, waiting. I was ready.
And, I mean, great place to battle, wasn't it, Concrete? An awesome sort of venue.
Oh, it's legendary. Like, I've never been in there, never battled there. But, you know, Tony and Ilmac went down there, and Yunnan, Shotty, like, some classic battles. And when I actually got in the venue, I remember Bagnall saying to me beforehand, it was like, it's my favourite venue. When we got down there, I was like, yeah, I could really rock with this place. Like, it's a great little venue.
And we'll get into the battle because, you know, I can't wait. This is an insane bout.
They're over you because you don't really do what a champion's supposed to do. So this right here, Mark Wahlberg premiere. Yeah, they clapped for the shooter. Last time I was entertained by a great Scott. Watch Back to the Future. Do your work. Because you bitched out on Tony. You ain't earning this shit in the least. You're like Hank McCoy, because your daddy had to plant a seed to turn you into a beast. I mean, your first 3 years battling, nobody fucked with you. I ain't even been battling 3 years and I'm stood up in front of you. That was my day.
You know, you kick off with the sort of the wrestling, earned you on the way to the ring, the shit gonna end with Tombstone. Like, it's so important, isn't it, those intro bars? Did you labour over how to begin the round, or?
Do you know what? When I read comments on my battles, and when I actually think back on the battles I've done, everyone always says my first round is my strongest round. So when I was writing for Soul, who is obviously a strategist, everything he does is planned from the jump. I thought, I need to go into this with a different mindset. So that line, although when I was spitting it to people was getting a good reaction, I felt was my weakest line. So I felt to start with the weakest line, because if I got a reaction off of that, I knew it was going to be plain sailing going forward.
Yeah.
I sort of rushed the delivery on that a little bit, because to be honest with you, I wasn't sure whether to keep the bar in, but it felt like a good way to open it. I know he always says that when he starts his round, he starts slow to build the momentum going forward. And I thought I'd do the same thing, but I just ended up barking on him straight away.
Yeah, I agree, actually, because, like, obviously, you know, this whole hour or so is going to be me absolutely, you know, blowing smoke up your ass. It's an incredible battle. But when you started off with that line, I was a bit like, okay, earned to the ring. I was just a bit like, okay, this isn't too bad. And then, like, I think what you do so well with the strategy is there's 3 different ways you attack in this opening minute that are so good. So, I mean, we'll go through the bars themselves, but just in terms of, like, the scheme of it, you know, you talk about him dismissing the street talk, then you sort of go in on how he writes his bars, and then you sort of view it through and how, like, legitimately he shouldn't even be here in a sense, and we'll start with that, the street talk dismissing, the Neil my Armstrong stepping on the rock made me a household name, like goosebumps from that one, man. Insane.
Yeah, that got a huge reaction.
Yeah.
It was to be honest with you, I've been sitting on that bar for a little while, but it was more sort of a braggadocious thing the way I wrote it. And then when it came to this battle, I was like, what is he gonna do? You know, this is one thing I know he said before. He writes a list of angles he thinks his opponent will take, and I thought going into this, it's key to me that I do two things. One, I try and take down what he's going to do before he does it, just to lessen the impact of it. But two, not spit any gun bars.
Right.
It was important. So I wanted to address the fact that, you know, street talk is what's got me where I am, but you're going to get it a little differently this time. And then, yeah, that line, the way that I crafted the line just kind of fitted in perfectly with the narrative of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, completely. And it's not only the way you craft the line. I don't know if you recall when you say, "Make me a whole sword name," you kind of like run on the spot with your fingers. Like really effective.
Yeah, we spoke about this before, didn't we? I don't rehearse my performance at all. I rehearse the bars, and you know, I'm not one of those guys that stands in a mirror or yells at a wall. I'm driving around in my car, just rapping it to myself. And on the day, I just completely go with it on the spot. So any performance you see from me, anything that I do, you know, like when I battled Tony and I did the whole Kill Bill movie cut in two, and my arm sort of cut through at an angle. Like, it's all entirely on the spot, instinctive. But that came out well. I was pleased with that. Yeah,
really well. And then, you know, going from the street talk, as I say, into the next kind of idea of taking on Soul's writing style, those sort of traits, you know, making strings of one bar multi-punches, as you say, which is a really, really fun section. You know, name followed by green CeeLo. I love catch cases on rotation, Heathrow.
Yeah, do you know what? It was just that I was worried about that section going into it because it's just, it wasn't direct at him. But it was, I knew once I got to the end, I could tie it into the fact that it's, you know, I was saying it's not hard to do that. But I got into that. It was weird. There were certain lines in that I expected to get the more reaction than the ones that actually did, and the ones that I thought would get reaction slept on a little bit. But it was fun to get through. I thought the crowd would let me get through it in one go, but obviously I didn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, sort of more minor ones. Cross the line and get voided, free throws, really nice. But then everyone rears up to the two legends got heat covered, De Niro and Pacino. Yeah.
I was literally, as I was writing, I'd just seen, I got heat on Blu-ray, and it was literally just on TV, just sitting on the shelf. But I looked up and I just saw the two of them facing each other on the cover, and I was like,
yeah. I want to see you and Soul like meet in a coffee shop and like just talk about in like 20 years and just talk about bars and like, you know.
I don't see that happening.
And then as I was saying, kind of the third prong to his attack, you bring up Jefferson Price. I mean, it's a Soul battle, so you kind of got to do this, and you sort of say he shouldn't even be here. And then turning to he came back and became champ. It's like they gave you a hot plate. You let this gas trick bypass the ban because you couldn't stomach the loss. And then I love the way that wait is kind of, you know what I mean? You're sort of wait, you sort of interrupt yourself, but obviously it's part of the overall scheme.
Yeah. That was, when I came up with that line, I sort of looked at it. At first, I almost dismissed it like it was a reach, but I was like, there's ways I can, it wasn't originally written in that way. It was a lot more reachy at first. Right. But it just sort of, as we approached the battle, it became tighter. And then I realised, like, at first I was saying it to Soul. But then I realised I could turn to as long as was on the stage at that point, and say it to him, and I thought it would have a lot more effect. The weight bit, I mean, I got right into the performance of it at that point. So when I turned and I said wait, it was like you said, it was wait as in to pause the whole thing. But the way that I said it, a couple of my friends didn't realise that I was trying to pause myself. They thought it was just a part of the punchline.
Right.
So like, why'd you say it like that?
Right. Yeah.
Explain it.
It's really cute, and as is Brewed for 10 months, baby, it's overdue.
Yeah. Well, I grew for 10 months, baby, because it just felt like if you look back at the journey up to this title shot, it's sort of been the last 10 months. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just another one of those little. That's the thing with me. I have these little quirky bars to get to the next punch.
Yeah.
But sometimes they get reaction when I'm not expecting it. Like when I battled Tony and I did the whole asylum bit, and then I said that bar insane, and that got another reaction because it tied into the asylum bit.
Yeah.
It felt like that, but I wasn't expecting a reaction at that point. That's why I sort of smirked. It was just okay.
And I mean, we always say this, Shox, like, you know, you have these kind of slightly left field setups that are great. Talking that bobbly swagger shit, Mark Wahlberg premiere is the setup. They clap for the shooter.
Yeah. Well, like, it's just, I was like, what rhymes? Because I knew I wanted to do the whole Great Scott.
Yeah.
I know, who was it that did it? Sketch Menace did something along the lines of that when he was talking to Soul, but it was not on the same sort of path. It just referenced Great Scott in that film. But I was like, I want to reference that, but what rhymes with Back to the Future? So I started going through, and then I was like, clap for the shooter. And then I was like, all right, but that's just me calling myself the shooter. There's no real, I'm wasting a line if I just use that as a setup. So then I was out with my sons in Computer Exchange. They were looking at games, and I saw the DVD section, and it had the shooter on the front, and I noticed it, and I was like, Mark Wahlberg premiere, they clapped for the shooter. So yeah, that's how that came about. But I mean, obviously, to be honest with you, the film's crap. I'm not sure many people clap. Whatever.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. I was like, I don't know, there's better to go down there. But I mean, awesome stuff. And so, again, sort of taking on Soul's style a little more subtly. Like, Soul, it has such an aphoristic style. He can make really simple, pithy observations that really put you in your place. And we'll get into the first. He has tons of those. And, you know, I love the first 3 years battling, nobody fucked with you. I ain't even been here 3 years, and now I'm stood up here in front of you.
Yeah. That was just, you know, it was just factual at that point, wasn't it? It was, when I think back to it, his first 3 years, he wasn't touted as the great that he is now. He was just a battler. But yeah, like that ties into the whole checkpoint journey that I was talking about earlier in the tweet. It just sort of tied into that, and I thought, it's not a punch, but it's just factual. Sometimes I've got to learn this. Sometimes it hasn't got to be some intricate metaphor for it to be incredible. It can just be a fact said in a very, you know, factual way.
And, you know, a common thing with people like yourself, the heavy punchers, for some reason, outdoor recreation bars are always hot. I'm not quite sure why. So I'm thinking of like when B-Madge against Chiller, this marshmallow can get some more when I open fire. And, you know, here we have like my whole campfire. So razor toast. I've been spitting flames over bread.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? Like, the thing is that watching it back, I realised I'd done myself a mischief there, because later on I then proceed to turn around and say that, you know, I don't charge a fee for these battles, so I'm not really spitting flames over bread, am I? Let's be honest. Wow. But no, it was just more the whole point of me getting into, like, I wanted to do the next scheme about the plane and whatever, so I needed to get into that, and it was just imagery that came to me as I was writing that. So I thought, I don't just want to say my whole campfire and then move on. That there's got to be a way that I can tie it in and make that clever. So that's where the spitting flames of the bread came from. Yeah, the whole round, really. There is not a single dry spot. It is fire. When you get into the sort of, you know, spit fire that went playing overhead, drop bombs to put my ally on his axis is ridiculous. Then into the Shakespeare stuff. I mean, Old English, we had the round building. Now we have what a dun can murder the Scot. It's nothing to kill the king. Yeah. Yeah. Well, my son's studying Shakespeare.
Right.
So yeah, that's where that comes from.
Nice. Yeah. I remember being in the crowd actually, and sort of kind of like just shouting out the word Duncan. I was just like entranced by you, and I just thought that was just so clever. Really, really well. Obviously, Duncan is the king. You know, I'm sure most people have studied this, like your son, in various incarnations there, and the whole careful witchcraft you choose. Yep. You know, is awesome.
Even the play with the curse. That was
play with the curse. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, since you want to play with the curse, and make it horrible.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. That's so hard.
It's the cursed play, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was the whole thing tied together. But it was. I'll tell you what. Let me run this back quickly because we've gone past it. But there's a little line in there no one caught at the time when I said the campfire bit, and I said you're more emo than the Mandrake. That had a double meaning because I was watching Harry Potter with my son, and there's a plant in the Harry Potter movie called Mandrake that cries when you pull it out of the pot. So it was the Mandrake as in Drake, and then the Mandrake as in the plant at the same time. Yeah,
but before the issue is probably, incredible bar. Like I get what you're saying. I remember that scene as well. But there's the bar before is don the apron, put one on the knuckle like a Mason's handshake.
Yeah.
So there's no kind of like I'm not going to write, but you know, my chamber's got secrets. So I don't know. You could do something like that, but you know, you know what I mean?
Maybe I throw a little. It was a little hidden Harry Potter reference. I didn't want to start going full Harry Potter. Do you know?
Yeah. But no, that's crazy. That's really, really good. Yeah, because they like scream when they're pulled out the pot, don't they? And stuff like that. Yeah. I remember that. And then in some other crazy references, obviously we discussed this many times, both huge fans of The Wire here. This is a sensational Wire bar. All those robberies you got away with just to die asking for smoke like Omar.
Yeah. Like, I know obviously I saw people react to that because it was an obvious bar, but when I see people like Tony or Soul's faces and they caught the actual asking for smoke reference,
yeah.
And it was just that little bit deeper. I was proud of that bar, man. That's one of my favourite bars.
That's an incredible bar. Yeah, so I mean, spoiler alert. I mean, why have you not fucking watched The Wire? If you haven't yet, it's the greatest thing ever, in my opinion, and I quite love others. But yeah, Omar, the kind of notorious Robin Hood kind of, drug dealer take from the rich guy, is ironically not killed by any dealer at the end of the show. He's actually killed by, I think his name like Dunebug or something, like one of the young kids, who just pops him in the head for no real reason. But yeah, as he's getting smokes, it's crazy. And then let's see how much you love The Wire when it's twisted around your neck.
Yeah, my delivery on that was evil.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Yeah, but it was just, I knew, like, when I was showing people the bars beforehand, they were like, that's going to go off. Like, you've got to sell that bar. And I was like, it's not clever, but it's like, I've just got a habit of writing these really fucking vile bars that make my parents worry about me. But yeah, it was just, I thought, I've got to say that, because it's not been, everyone's gone in on him for the Wire angle. I mean, Pesci done a whole round about it, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was like, how can I tie this up, no pun intended, with just one line? So that's what came to me. Yeah,
and another bar that would make any parents worry. And I do wonder if this bar was subtly connected as well, because obviously you don't really mention it in the bar, but anyone that knows The Wire knows that Omar is killed by a child, basically. And then the next bar is pay a younger a 50 to slice your throat. That's a fucking death note.
Yeah, it wasn't connected.
No.
But let's just edit this out and say that it was, so I sound really clever. No, it wasn't connected. No, that original... When I wrote that originally, it was, my end game less dope. That got slept on a bit in the building because I kind of went into that before the reaction died down, which is self-explanatory. My end game's less dope. But then the original bar I wrote after that was pushing a white key costs lives. That's a fucking death note reference. A piano, do you know what I mean?
Right.
White key and note. But I thought it was a bit too abstract in that moment, so I changed it to pay a younger to slice your throat for a 50. That's a fucking death note. Yeah. I wanted to get a death note reference in there, but I didn't want to drag it out. Do you know what I mean? So that's what it probably could have come up with something better than that, but it served its purpose. Yeah, no, it's dark as well. It's sinister. The image of it's really, really good. And then you get the animal in your boat, Life of Pi. Yeah. Yeah, and I barked that on him. And Was that another CEX kind of computer exchange bar, or? No, it was just I just remembered the film. That was it. I've always wanted to reference the film somehow, but I've seen many references to it in battles. But they're all just like, we spoke about this on the last podcast we did. Like, I don't like drawing something out for 10 bars if I can say it in one. You know what I mean? And they all seem quite contrived and long-winded. And it was just, I mean, I don't know if a lot of Americans are going to get that, or the fact that we use boat as slang for face over here. Like, yeah, no, definitely. It's funny you mentioned the American thing as well, because I saw Avocado, I don't know if you saw, tweeted about that bar after it came out, and he was like, it's a hard bar, but the image doesn't make sense to him. He was like, animal in your boat, like, what does that mean, kind of thing. So I guess I did see that. Yeah. So I guess that kind of lost in translation thing could have definitely appealed there. And then sort of closing up really, really strong. You're trying to leave alone the life of crime. One good deed for another, because the title's mine. Just self-explanatory there. I mean, if you know a lot about deeds and titles, then it's self-explanatory. But if not, it just ties the round up nicely, I thought. Yeah. I mean, a good feeling, though, because it's an impeccable round, easily one of the strongest you've ever done. This whole battle really is kind of next level, going from something 2.0 Old English to, title shocks or whatever. Like, were you happy? How were you feeling after you delivered it? Good. After the first round, I felt good, but I knew as we was getting towards the end of the round, I was looking at Soul's face, and he's not one that gives away anything, to be honest. But I can tell, like, I'm one of those battlers that holds eye contact with someone when I'm battling. Like, it's important, you know, I'm talking to your soul, no pun intended. At this point, like, I need to look in your eyes and you see what I'm saying. And I looked in his eyes, and there was just this slight smirk in his eyes, and I thought his first is going to be fucking painful. I can already see it coming. So I felt confident at that point that I delivered the best I could in that round, but I did feel going into his round that I was about to lose it, because I could tell from his demeanor that he had something special, and his first round was fucking ridiculous.
Oh my God, yeah, it is absolutely incredible.
No fans upset, no debates, no ifs, no ands, buts, yeah. Cause I've raised the whole roster out that had some threat. You ain't the next one up, you just the last one left. The upper half and middle, he already know what theory, and he barely hopes he'll make it close. I can't take him serious. If he's Shox, then you're Thunder. Cause I'm definitely seeing him, and the noise you make will let us know how far away from me.
And like I was saying before about the aphorisms here, you know, he says that you would sort of mention he's not supposed to do what Joey's supposed to do, and he sort of asked what, like, rinse every contender till they have to scrape the barrel to find me one.
That was a flip.
Yeah.
Like the way he flipped it as well. I was like, he even flips with the same clarity that he writes with. Like, do you know what I mean? Don't try it, bruv. Like, what? Rinse every contender till they have to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find me one. Just. You couldn't make that. You couldn't edit that if it was written to be any cleaner than that. Do you know what I mean? And it was completely off the top. So I was like, "Fuck, this is." Yeah, I think after he says that line, I know when he starts that flip. Sorry, you just hear. He goes, "What is it?" He says, "Oh, so I don't do what a champion's supposed to do, huh?" And then you just hear go, "Let's go," because he knows what's coming. Like.
Oh man, and it's very fluid, and it's nice as well that he keeps the consistency. Similar in the Raptor match, he talks straight to the crowd, you know. Sort of. Oh
yeah, I mean, I was in awe. If I'm honest, I was just standing there watching him like deliver these bars, and it was just fucking. As a fan, like I was trying to keep my game face. You've seen the footage. That my game face was absolutely fucking gone. There was no game face during that round. I was just clapping and smiling and fuck. Like this stuff's amazing. Yeah. I mean, he had some of his room shakers in that round were just mind blowing. Yeah. He comes up with this shit, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah, and then kind of his first real haymaker is the Rite of Madness. This pad is remanded, the pen is sectioned, which just, I mean, love this like mini scheme here. Awesome imagery. Psychiatrist had to wake it up inside like Evanescence.
Fucking ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I know. And
even the way he puts it together, like you get gassed on the build up to the punch. Do you know what I mean? Because he's already mini punching on his way to the haymaker, like crazy.
And Soul can just get into these kind of motions, these torrents that are just so effective. And, you know, the incredible stream, really. You know, the 27, again, he's talking about the 27 rounds, which is great as well. 27 levels, setting steps to get my rep to legend, never mentioned in any sentence with these any henchmen. And he just 10 a penny, beggy cretin, URL clones with less aggression. I love the way he's kind of doing it. The one trick pony co-main eventing peasants. I see it this time, Shox. Did you have a mint? You popped something in your mouth there?
Oh yeah, just had a chewing gum.
Just a little chewing gum, just to sort of just to keep the. Is that just to kind of Is that just keep the fluids going, or?
Yeah, saliva, man.
Saliva,
I was just at that point, like the one thing I had done that day is abstain from eating properly because I didn't want to get on stage and feel. You know, I didn't know how I was going to feel actually on the stage. Like I said, I was enjoying myself, but once I was on stage, I didn't want to kid myself that I wouldn't have butterflies. So I was like, I'm not. You know, everyone was going across the road and eating pizzas and. Like, I was like, I'm not on that. So yeah, it was literally just to stop my mouth from drying out. Especially with the way that I deliver bars and I shout a lot. Like I need a lot of fluid.
Yeah. You don't want to be stodgy when you're saying there's an animal on his boat or whatever, because that would that would rob it of everything. And again, you know, you ain't the next one up. You're just the last one left.
Yeah, fucking hurt, man.
Yeah, really, really hard. And then
very concise as well.
Very
just to the point. No huge haymaker punch. It was just. You know, in a way, factual, I guess. Like, let's not kid ourselves here. I feel that I've earned it, definitely. But at the same time, you know, Gem and Quill Krill's already battled him recently, and Jem didn't want to go for the title, or else I think my title run would have been a lot harder than it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, you took it with both horns, man, and deservedly took the victory. But we're still in round one here, and it just magnificent stuff from Soul. The upper half of the middle, you already know what tier he in. He barely hopes he'll make it close. I can't take him serious. In my opinion, by the way, this is probably the best Shox name flip ever. Like, I don't think
it's one of the best bars ever.
Yeah,
like, just even forget the name flip side of it. Just when he delivered this next bar, it was just, you see me, I just turned to Tony D at this point, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it just, wow.
Yeah. He has a unique relationship and equivalence with the crowd, Soul, and he drags them into this bar in a kind of unique way that I've never really seen done on a stage before. So if he Shox and you're Thunder, because I'm definitely seeing him, and the noise you make will let us know how far away from me he is. And it's just kind of that, it's that kind of distance Thunder kind of stuff, but it's just playing on, like, because the audience are going to react to a bar, but the audience reaction is kind of the subject of the bar as well. It's mad.
It's insane. The levels, there's so many layers to what he said. But again, it's how he edited it down as well. The way that the words connect, like the way it flows. You couldn't squeeze another, millimeter out of that. It was just perfect. Yeah, probably. We spoke at the end of the last podcast about my favorite bar ever spat against me. It's that now.
I agree. I can recall being in the audience and just, it was stunned, really, the reaction to that. It was just, it felt different. It felt beyond anything I'd really heard that day or ever, really. It was
ever. I tweeted it. I tweeted it yesterday or the day before, just like with the crying emoji face, because it's just, you can't, you have to give it up. That is possibly one of the best battle rap lines ever spat, to be honest. It's incredible.
Yeah. And a common theme that runs through these 3 rounds, more explicitly in the second and third, is the idea of, him kind of looking up to you, and then sort of the difference between those sort of ideas. And it's like, when I battled against my inspiration, I got writer's block. When he battled against his inspiration, it's this title shot.
Yeah. It's just, again, truth. It's truth. I wanted this battle, and it was inspiring to me and brought the best out of me. So he's just stating facts at that point.
And the round closes out. You only deserve this shot because nobody does. Like, there's just Soul just making so many good points about this that you really can't argue. Not to say nobody does or anything, but he really convinces you as an audience member. And I noticed that obviously you've only watched the pay-per-view at the moment. I was there as well. It'd be great to see this when this gets. We'll sort of upload this when this comes on. You to see sort of multiple angles. Appreciate the crowd behind you a bit better. But I noticed that Tony daps you up and sort of like acknowledges, and like the look on his face is like, this is a fight.
Yeah, he was almost like coaching me. Do you know what I mean? It almost felt like, right, recover, you've got this, put him back on his toes now, go. Like, I appreciated that, man. I mean, me and Tony are good pals, and we send each other our bars for different battles that we do. And so, like, he knew, he'd said to you, he'd heard the material, he knew what was coming. But I mean, it was, I don't know if he'd heard Soul's bars, but it was. After that first, I see Soul tweet afterwards saying, talking to someone about the result or whatever, and he was like, the consensus was the first was competitive with a lean to me. And I thought, no. I didn't die, but, I gave a good performance, but the first round wasn't close in my eyes at all.
Yeah. I mean, if you're kind of judging it on kind of the mathematics of it, I think you had more punches, but I think Soul was just a little bit more explosive.
It was incredible. Yeah. It was incredible. Like, definitely, like the best round ever spat at me, without a doubt.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair enough. I mean, Smart Alex's second is maybe up there as well, but this is definitely definitely around that spot. Shout out Smart Alex. But you get to your second.
So let me pick him apart. I watched you destroy Rapture, like, whoa, that's hard. But you did it in London. I guess bro lacks heart. Because like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I made him fear the big man in his own backyard. So stop faking your heart. If I let a glass go, kiss goodbye to your face in a bar. I'll leave you painfully scarred and change your whole view of London when your eye takes in a shard.
Great tactic in battling, if done well, is to quote someone's bars and sort of, how I would do it better sort of thing. So you sort of get involved in the Frankenstein lab design. Putting Shox for a bar was enlightening, but now you're giving life to a body.
Yeah. That was, he got a huge reaction when he said that bar against Krill.
Yeah.
And I just remember at the time thinking, like, he's got such an impressive pen. For him to use next wordplay just seemed out of character to me. So I was like, I'm going to pick on that. I'm going to pick on that. So, yeah, that's what I came up with.
Yeah, you mentioned that and went out on a limb to stitch it all together.
Yeah, like, when I first wrote it, it was just the giving life to a body part. And then I was thinking about it as we went on, and I was like, yeah, I can take this further. So I then proceeded to go further, and I come up with that line. I like the way I performed that as well, where I sort of, showed my arm and then did the stitching motion. But even into the next bar, when I say, so let's pick him apart, it all tied into that.
Yeah, and again, there's that kind of that puncturing of skin kind of, anatomy kind of idea there. For like a Glasgow kiss goodbye to your face in a bar, painfully scarred, change your whole view of London when your eye takes in a shard.
Yeah, that was retarded. That was. I knew when I wrote that was going to go off. The way I delivered it was really fucking aggressive.
Yeah, incredible. Really. Incredible bar. And I remember watching this at the time and just being like, oh my god, like what a battle we've got on our hands. Like, just so many haymakers from the off of the second as well. We're only like 2.5 rounds deep here. And some, like, what I like about you, Shox, as well, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, why didn't I think of that? That's really silly, / that's genius. Running out of the blue like a cold tap.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of those. Like, I don't even know where it come from, actually. I think I was just writing down multis for that rhymed with that, and cold tap was one of them. And I was like, how can I incorporate cold tap? And then running out the blue like the cold tap. I sent that bar to Frankie Fraser, and he was like, "Fuck, bro, that's incredible." And I was like, "Really? Is it gonna go off?" He's like, "Yeah, it's gonna go off."
Yeah, no, Frankie knows this stuff well, and yeah, he was definitely right. And you've got to sort of take ideas that people have said before and kind of manipulate them. Like, I think we flossed over actually in the first Soul saying, it's not getting peak for me, this is the peak for you, which is absolutely brilliant. And then you have Soul's kind of slogan here, leave you with so much fucking brain damage you won't know how to behave yourself.
Yeah, I like the way you laugh as you say that. It was outrageous. But I knew it was outrageous going into it. I thought this is going to get a huge reaction because I knew how I was going to deliver it at the time. I think Danny Jack just tweeted me what he posted on Viewpoint the other day, where he's basically just calling me some sort of psychotic fucking sickhead.
Right.
But yeah, that like I don't know if people caught this, but in the whole start of that round, in the build up to the bar, I actually schemed through the human body.
Oh.
Okay. So yeah, obviously I'll start with the Frankenstein bit.
Yeah.
And I mentioned limbs, the next wordplay. Then I say when he did it in London, bro lacks heart. So
right.
About heart. And then Glasgow kiss goodbye to your face. I mentioned the face.
The eye.
Yep. Eye, exactly. So I'm scheming through and then get to the point where I'm like, I talk about the brain damage and leaving him paralyzed. It was all leading up to that. Even the bit where I say hold that pinhead, people think that it was a reference because I said I already told you I'm raising hell, but it was also in the sense of like having a pinned head if you're paralyzed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The whole thing schemed up to the brain damage part as well through the punches.
Crazy. In my jeans as well, to Levi's Twisted. I want to throw back. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah. Didn't even catch it, but that is fantastic. And just, again, you get incisive into Soul as well. And great to see Soul reacting heavy to this bar, because this is an outstanding piece of work. Punchlines are weak, just delivered sick. It's the flow that carries Soul like the river Styx.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's an incredible writer. Let's not away from him. Like he punches like crazy. But I noticed watching a lot of his more recent battles, especially against Raptor, like a lot of what gassed the crowd in certain sections was the way he was flowing it. When he did the whole I see your future up and smoke like a soothsayer. Like it was all very flow orientated. So I was like, I want to get him for that. and that's what I came with.
And yeah, there's a lot of kind of tenets of Soul's approach here, like the UFC stuff, which you go on. We can see defense behind the punches, like Octagon on Cam is just, And you mentioned Hearthstone as well. It's that kind of like I think it's like a online trading card game, that Soul plays as well. I mean, why you're called Soul? Because you got no body. Quite a simple bar, right?
Very simple, but it's never been said to him.
Yeah. True.
And that was just it. I was just sitting there thinking, like, yeah, it's a simple bar. It's not clever, but at the same time, it's never been said, and it tied into what I was going forward to say after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the monotonous choice of solitaire or wash his hair is fantastic. Great multi. And then we have a little poker scheme. Then we get another blue bar. Jealous of everyone that's blue, like Gargamel. Smurf bars, I think Bagnall shouts.
And I think it's like Papa Smurf.
And tons and tons of good stuff. You talk about him having gold on every level, like a stately home.
Yeah. It was just that. To be honest with you, that was a complete, like, it was a way of bringing me into the next rhyme. I didn't actually think it was going to get a reaction in the slightest. To me, it wasn't even clever. It was just, but yeah, apparently I got a small murmur in the building, so I was like, okay, fair enough.
Facing the plank on some Ed shit. Facing the plank, you've been sentenced to drowning, lad, for your mutiny. The crew with me, never will crown a champ. That's what rebels do. Our stone never but out in that. He a rebel without a cause, you a rebel without a chance. I don't have guns, that's just the sound of my raps, bro. Spit these bars, they slash tongues and collapse lungs. I don't need a strap tuck, I'll just put a grand up and watch the look on his face change with a bag on his head like Mardon. I'm
Appreciate your third is quite different to your first two, but they kind of have the same essence about them. Soul really kind of goes different on his second and third. What did you think about? A lot of people are kind of divided about his kind of angle here about you having the SIM card and people ringing you up.
I think that it cost him the battle, if I'm honest at this point, because it was incredibly funny. Like, you see me, I was cracking up. It was really funny, but the angle itself, I just think there's better things he could have gone in on than doing something like that. Like, it was a selfless thing I was trying to do to help.
Yeah.
And what he said was very funny. It was very funny, but when he got through that angle and then picked up and started doing the crazy punches after that, I think if he'd have, he was already one up at this point. I think if he'd have come with those punches for the whole of the second round, he could have been 2 up, and then my third wouldn't have mattered. But I think that he took a gamble with the angle at the front, and it didn't really go over the way he thought it would. It got, a lot of funny laughs and whatever, but I think when it came to the judging, they were probably thinking he'd wasted half of his second round at that point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's definitely what I thought, and a few other people I was speaking about. Watching it on cam, I think it is really well constructed and funny. And Soul is like a great actor as well. Like, he plays characters and he's very.
Oh, the bit where he said, what was it? He said, he did the impression. He was like, "My wife left."
Yeah.
It's just hard, bro. But it was like, "Yeah, say nothing when you hear these bars, cuz." Like, that killed me.
Yeah.
That literally, I was crying at that point. I thought, "Oh, you bastard!" So, like I said, it was incredibly funny, but it was just, for someone who's known for picking such intricate angles, it surprised me a little. I didn't expect him to use that as an angle. I didn't even think it would come up in a battle, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because as soon as he says it, you say, "Oh shit," and laugh. So I guess you were surprised a little bit.
Yeah. Because I wasn't sure where he was going to go with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you bastard.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I'm such a battle nerd, but I'm sure most people in the room, as soon as you mentioned it, I remembered you tweeting that, and I guess it stuck with people as well because it's such a lovely thing to do, and really good gesture on your part, and it was kind of interesting. Like, how is he going to flip this? Like, it's just complete altruism, to a certain extent. Really, it's kind of hard to do. And Soul, being the writer that he can, he still got something off it, and it still was quite good. More death on his Sims than a psychopathic kid. That was crazy. And the whole idea of sort of certain people calling you with depression, and also like obsessive little fans just pretending to be sad.
Yeah, that was a perfect line. The way he delivered that was like,
And I'm sure, some people will absolutely adore the round. Some people would think Soul, why didn't you just punch the whole second, like you were doing in the first? But I appreciate that. This is his third title defense now. You got to change things up slightly. You can't really be the same thing, and makes it a bit more of an interesting match here. And he has some nice moments, and then gets really into his Grisly shit here. The kind of a skateboarding kind of idea here with the SSX tricky. He'll slide down the poles till he's 50-50 at best. Yeah,
Shox a hoe, the SX tricky. And then he talks about spinning me 180. Heel slide. That was insane. And I think when he did the SX tricky, I think I reacted more than anybody else in the room at that point. I was just like, that's such a clever bar. Yeah, he got slept on.
Yeah, can you? I know SX tricky the game, but I didn't get the reference. Is that a character, Shox, or?
No, he's just saying, obviously, I'm a hoe. Obviously, my name is Ho. He's Ho in the middle of SX, isn't it?
Oh, shit. That is fire. Yeah, that went over my head. That's great.
He's a Ho, the SX tricky. So he's saying, like, take off the SX because it's tricky to put them on there. I'm a Ho. Like, and then, proceeded to go straight into the, he'll slide down the poles. Even that, he'll slide down the poles till he's 50-50 at best. Because at best is when you are 50-50. It's just... so clever, so intricate. Unbelievable.
Actually, I mean, last time I had you on Shox, I sort of said that I had the Copper's Underground metal detector bar, which obviously you did way better. And it's weird, actually. I remember coming up with a name flip for you that Souls has done better, but it was going to be, once you strip off the XS, you'll see the Ho in Shox.
Yeah, so, that's sick.
But obviously...
That's sick.
Yeah. Well, we're never going to battle, so, if anyone wants to use that in Shox in the future, maybe they can... I would say the winner of the top 8, but you're not battling them, are you? That's been called off.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
As far as I know. I've not actually been told directly, but I heard Danny made a post on Viewpoint saying that, it's not going to happen.
And a crazy stuff from Soul as he gets into, fifth gear here. Don't have guns, that's just the sound of my raps, bruv. Spit these bars, they slash tongues and collapse lungs. Don't need a strap tuck, just put a grand up and watch the look on his face change with a bag on his head. And the way he goes like manhunt, like the way he says manhunt. Oh.
That was crazy. That was crazy. I was like, that deserved all the reaction. Yeah. That's what I meant about wasting that first half of his second, because if that's what he came with for the whole round, I would have been tucked at that point. There's nothing I could have done.
Yeah, and loads of great stuff here. Rebel flagging in the hood like Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, that was so slept on.
Yeah. I think it's just kind of a slightly older reference there that might, just go over a few heads there. But yeah, crazy stuff. A real brilliant round. I mean, it's got. I'm not going to use the word shaky or questionable. It's just it depends what tastes the opening bit of this second's going to be to. I still think it's really funny, and Soul has that. He's able to clown in a really kind of a unique way, and it was strong. But your third here.
Whose birthday? You said the Costa got slapped up because he exposed your friend on stage and they got your back on. You said there was no place for that shit in battling. That's kind of mad, bro. Didn't you get the biggest reaction in your life exposing rap? Did you fucking hypocrite? I thought you wrote more. How are you still using the name Soul when you sold yours?
You say at the start the round's going to be a little different, and what was your thought process? Did you know that you had to really have? You're known for your strong first, but you could have a strong closer as well.
Yeah, when I was writing this round, it was like I was actually nervous about this round. I told a few people the material, and they were like, I had to listen back 3 or 4 times to catch it. And obviously on the day I don't get that opportunity. It's you're judging live in the moment, and I was like, this could throw the match for me. Do you know what I mean? If the judges sleep on what I'm saying, then I'm going to be in trouble. But I'll be honest with you, the reaction I got from the crowd and the people on stage for this round was just mind blowing. It felt different delivering it, but yeah, I knew it was strong. I just wanted to, like, the first, that's why I opened it the way I did. The first 2 rounds, it was just sort of Punchline festival, wasn't it? And at the third round, it was like, I'm still punching, but I want to prove that I can do the intricate shit that he does and still keep the punch count high. And that's where that came from.
Yeah, completely. I remember in the room as well, maybe the reaction was down to this slightly. There was a sense, at least for myself and my friend, that you had taken the second, Soul had most likely taken the first. So it's like, oh shit, Shox can actually win this. Like, if this is a killer round, like, it's not like a 2-0 and he's fighting his way out of bag or anything. It's like, no, this can be like the coup de grace, as it were, here. And, I mean, tons and tons of like doubling sort of stuff here. Pen is truly lethal. People don't think I can play my part 2 like a movie sequel. The bar on top of bar. The 2 elements to the table only gets reaction periodically. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I meant about I wasn't sure how people were going to react to that. And then, but that got a huge reaction. Like, literally, that was a room shaker. And I was like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried at the beginning. That's like I said, I knew it was intricate when I started doing the whole bar on top of bar to prove we're equal. And it didn't get a reaction. And I thought, that's a really strong bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it suddenly caught, and you just saw this murmur sort of go through the crowd as people were catching it.
Yeah.
And then it built, and I was like, all right, now, okay, we can go.
Yeah.
But yeah, the periodically bit leading into the you lack chemistry, like.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And then a very good point, really, where you sort of going on the Jefferson Price stuff and just call him a hypocrite because he got his biggest reaction of his career for the Raptor stuff.
Yeah, well, that was. I said in the build up to the battle, I was like, I'm going to talk about something that hasn't been addressed of him before, and that was it. Like, he got banned from the league for hitting somebody because they exposed people and said that. I remember him at the time saying that there's no room for that shit in battling, and then went ahead and did it with Raptor and got a huge reaction for doing it. And I just thought there's an angle there.
Yes, certainly. It's really well placed as well. Some astonishing stuff here. We kind of, rounding out this third with just endlessly genius lines. He don't walk the walk, he talk. He took it too far, and now he's getting static.
Yeah,
it's astonishing.
Yeah,
astonishing.
I had that bar. I was trying to figure out how I could reword it. I reworded it about 10 times to get it down to that, but the way that it came out in the end, I was happy with.
Yeah. The witness imitation line.
Yeah, witness intimidation. That got slept on, and then Locksmith sort of stamped his feet out of frustration, and then people suddenly picked up on what I was saying, and you just see a few faces change in the crowd. Like,
yeah. Oh, powerful. The Hadron Collider. I mean, just really enough lines here because so many good lines. Make it matter underground like a Hadron Collider.
Yeah, even the bit before that when I say when we come together, I'm liver.
Yeah,
like you're talking about the particles coming together. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, make it matter underground like a Hadron Collider. That was. That to me, ironically, that was more of a setup to the Nestle bar, but it got a huge reaction.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. For me, it was just that sort of that dual sense in my mind of obviously the underground scene and the thing. But it's just kind of, I don't know. There's been quite a few Hadron Collider bars, but that was one of the most inventive I felt. And then the Nestle throwaways, pads on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't know if other places in the world use pad as a slang for their house. So I don't know how that will go elsewhere. But, so you could hear some of the battlers on stage go, fuck. Like, even at that point, Soul screwed his face up. Like,
yeah. Well, I remember Tony against Yunnan, like, he does, like, touch pad and change character, like GTA 5.
Oh, that was incredible.
So, yeah. I think it is kind of more widespread here. And I've been mentioning Tony as well. People didn't believe I could rock with Tony. Then watch me brought fire to an animal to even the odds, like Mowgli.
I literally I watched Jungle Book, like the new remake one, live with my daughter, and at the end he just obviously comes back with a stick full of fire to even the odds, and I was like, that's a bar. I literally pulled my phone out and wrote it in my notes right there and then, like, that's a bar.
Oh man, and then something else really strong as well. Get to the facts, Jed. Ain't done half the work, half the battles, half the words, not even half the travel, and I'm still up here making half the battles.
Yeah.
I mean, the repetition of battles there, I mean, was that because they just kind of caught me a little, not that there's anything wrong with that, of course, but you say the word battles like within 5 seconds of each other. Was that just you couldn't really think of anything else to put, or?
No, it's just it wasn't meant to be an intricate thing. It was just literally. That's why I said let's get to the facts, Jed. Like, it was just stating the fact, and it wasn't half the battles, it was half the battle. I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, I've done half the work to get here, and we're on stage together, and I'm making half of this battle with you. Like, I've got to the same spot in a lot less time and a lot less work. Do you know what I mean?
And, this battle's going to be full of... I can't wait for it to go online to see what the comments think and to see what people make of it more widespread in terms of the Don't Flop audience.
You see, hell's what he put himself through when he accepted this. Tweeting all day about how tough his prepping is. Stressing over everything, over questioning his penmanship. Purgatory's when it clicks, he's 36 and all he has left is this. My left hand pushed him there. My right hand let him live. The echo was regretting neglected shit just to prep for this. Taking breaks to sell or take sniff on the ends, and if at the end he quits, that's when I sent him to heaven is. Now do you get it? It's literally absolutely groundbreaking. I'm not your soul, son. I'm your sin and your salvation.
What is your thoughts on Soul's third? Because I spoke to him and did an interview with him before the battle, and we were speaking backstage after recording it. I was sort of asking him how you're feeling, and he said to me actually that, you know, his third round is completely different to anything he's really done before, especially in the title match context. The sort of the purgatory idea, the hell idea, as he was spitting it, what were you thinking?
To be honest with you, I was amazed by it. But I took it in the same sort of vein as like Ilmak's third.
Yeah.
Against PK, which is one of my favourite battle rounds ever, to be honest. It's incredible. But as he was spitting it, I thought to myself, this is going to go well when it comes out on YouTube and people watch this back multiple times over the years, and they're gonna see the way it's crafted and written is incredible. Like, I caught that he was doing the whole journey, you know, through hell, purgatory, and up into heaven. Like, I got that, and that heaven was going to be me giving up battling. Like, I got the whole point of what he was saying, but I did feel at the time he was doing it that it wasn't gonna, you know, you had to be open to that for it to be judged as a win. And I knew that my third round was my strongest round, probably that I've ever spat in battling, if I'm honest. So it was like, going into that, I just thought, I think he's done himself a mischief, if I'm honest.
I mean, yeah, the imagery, I think it's almost a round on paper that maybe be a little bit stronger than a battle round, you know, the mount.
Beautifully.
Yeah, amazingly constructed. Yeah, like, you know, the mounds of the remains, the Tower of the Flames, now gone insane. Can't tell if he's been here for 10 seconds or thousands of days. You know, wonderful putting. He says this ain't a pen versus a pen, it's a pen versus a paintbrush. And, you know, he kind of elaborates on that throughout the verse. It's fantastic stuff. And, you know, again, similar to the second, you kind of have a slightly out there concept kicking back into the bars. Why is he called the rebel? The arse fell out him.
Yeah.
Which is, stunning stuff. And like, he sort of takes in the idea of the physicality. You know, you can beat me the fuck up in a fight, Shox. That's true. You stick it on my toes, you would have to. Which again,
that was brilliant.
Powerful.
Even the way he delivered it, it was amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, and there we go. Like, you know, the rounds wrapped up. It was about 10 minutes, was it, from the battle ending to the announcement? About 5 minutes, something like that.
I don't know. It
right.
felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Soul came up to me as soon as the battle had finished and everyone sort of cleared off stage to go into the hallway to do their verdicts. Soul came up to me and sort of, you know, dapped me up and said, or what was it he said? It was something along the lines of, did we just sort of wait about here for them to come and announce you as champ? And I laughed and I was like, don't be silly. And he was like, no, you won that. And I was like, bro, I said, they're still doing the vote. I said, don't be silly. And he was like, he looked me in the eye and he was like, you won that.
Wow.
And I remember at that point thinking, have I taken this? Like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because it didn't, although I knew that the strategy had worked on my end and that maybe he'd misjudged his a little going into the third or whatever, it still wasn't, you know, it was still Soul. The material was still incredible. So it was like, there's no guarantees it. But, yeah, I was actually genuinely shocked when they announced it. Nice.
Yeah, I remember they came back on stage, and when you got announced, me and my friend, kind of weird piggyback, but just started jumping around when you were announced. Like, I felt so happy. Like, it was so good. I think a lot of people were like, obviously everyone beloved Soul. It wasn't like the hero beating the villain or anything. If Soul would have done the same, it would have been the same reactions. But, you know, I think it was just such a good match, and to kind of have a surprise victory on the topic. Was it 7-0? Was that the reaction, or?
I don't know. I've heard it was, but I don't know. I don't know. But I think, as far as I'm aware, it was 7-0, and they all gave it to me 2-1, him getting the first round, which is what I'd marked it as. Yeah. And a lot of people since have seemed to have said that that's the way it's gone. Yeah. But a lot of people have said that Soul took it 3-0. So I don't know. There's been, I know you're not on Viewpoint, but there has been sort of various posts either way. I think the decision's fair. Like, I think it's entirely fair. I've watched this battle a hell of a lot, and, you know, maybe I'll change mine in the future. But Soul himself, obviously one of the most humble, down to earth guys you'll ever meet. You know, lovely human being. He tweeted soon after, "Congrats to Shox. If I was a judge, I'd have voted for him too. Tried my hardest, but it wasn't enough. Hashtag and the new." Yeah. I mean, he's a great guy, man.
Yeah, he is.
He's just very humble, considering how much talent he's got. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I felt having watched it back, I felt that I did get it 2-1, but it felt incredibly close at the time, and it feels even closer watching it back. To be honest, like I said in one of the tweets I put, I said I was lucky, and people were like, no, you weren't lucky, and I was like, I feel lucky. I feel like not that I don't deserve it, because on the day I did what I had to do and I won. Like, I got the votes, I won 2-1, but I do feel that if he'd have switched up what he was doing, or he'd come with, if he'd done more punches in his second, even with his third the way it was, it could have easily gone the other way. So
Yeah, it's a wonderful match. And just to wrap up, Sol was chatting to a few people on Viewpoint and wrote this about the match. He said, quote, "About the title match, I've been doing this long enough to know when I've lost. Appreciate people going into the bat for me. And I know it's subjective, but I feel like I clearly lost. I got my third round approach completely wrong. Judge what he was going to do completely wrong. And yeah, basically just got outperformed and out-strategized. The better man definitely won. And it would have been an 8-0 decision if to let me judge. So yeah, it probably was a 7-0 decision." And he continues, "Another thing, I had a couple of people come up to me afterwards and ask if I let Shox win. I shouldn't even really dignify that response, but whatever, I will. Don't piss me off. I tried my very fucking best and came up short. I don't have excuses. I just wasn't as good as him. End of. It's a disrespect to me and Shox to suggest anything less." I mean, it's a fairy tale. Yeah, I mean, again, what a powerful statement of him to write there. And interesting that people would have said that he thought, I mean, come on, like, that's not how this thing works. It's not wrestling or anything like that. But it's a fairy tale story, isn't it, in a certain sense, with a very aggressive fairy tale.
Yeah, like it's. I hadn't seen that. Obviously, I'm not on Viewpoint, so that would have. That's incredible. I've not heard that, so that's crazy. I didn't know that he'd written that. Yeah, again, just tying into. I suppose he's tying up all the loose ends there. If anybody wants to sort of come out in the comments and say he threw the match or whatever, like, I don't know, man. But that's crazy to hear. What a guy! Yeah,
what a guy! Wonderful human being. And you said to me before, like, you're not really a sort of party guy. Did you go out and celebrate after winning, or?
Mate, I went home, washed up, and went to bed. Like, literally, I'm just not.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm a family man.
Yeah.
That's it. I'd been away all day. Loved the event, but afterwards, it's just I was driving. Me and Soljitsu have both got families, and he came with me. I drove him down, so I was just aware that we both had to get home, and that was it, man. We just left, literally said our goodbyes and left.
Fair enough. And by the time this has come out, people are aware that you are battling on URL, which is going to be absolutely insane. There's going to be a London event, June 11th. Is that right? It's going to be June 11th.
That's right. June 11th.
June 11th. Where is it going to be? Have they announced the venue yet?
No, it'll be London.
But
it's a co-event with Gab, Gifted a Gab, because it's Gab's anniversary.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I think it's like they're doing another round of like London PGs or whatever. But I don't really know if you can call the battle a PG battle. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, so you originally meant to battle New Jersey Twerk, which that fell through for passport issues. Is that right?
As far as I know, yeah. As far as I know, I mean, it was. I was talking with Norbs through Instagram, and he said to announce Twerk. He was like, it would get the fans hype or whatever. So I did, and then sort of. I wish I hadn't, because then it come up, a few days later or whatever, that he couldn't sort his passport out. So I was like, shit, no, I just look like an idiot. But I've been told now that by both Norbs and Snoop, who are working together on the card, who my next opponent is, which is going to be crazy. We can't really reveal that depending on when it sort of came out over. But I mean, you versus Twerk, he's awesome, man. That's such a great matchup as well. Yeah, it's one of those ones where people were like, I didn't know I needed that battle until I saw it written down, and it was, like, he's such an aggressive guy. I think me and him would be an incredible battle. But unless he wants to, get a passport sorted and come over here, I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully one day. But Shox, this has been fantastic, man. I mean, obviously very early days in terms of the title match. Are you going to defend it this year? Is that the plan, or?
I have no idea. As Sol said before, unfortunately, we have no say in the defence. When we defend it, who we defend it against. I'm unsure, but I'll do whatever. I'm one of them guys, man. I'll put it. If they tell me to put it up next week, I'll put it up next week. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just. I'm I'm repping it for now, but it's not going to be mine forever. So if someone's hungry enough to come up and take it off me, then so be it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I guess finally, how do people get at you? I mean, your Twitter, Shox to the System, is that right?
Yeah, at Shox to the System, but 2, the number 2, and then the being the word the,
yeah.
Not da.
No. Well, Shox, I mean, Don't Flop champ, Shox, it has been so good to have you back on the show as ever, man. I mean, I guess I got to say congratulations yet again. Incredible achievement.
Thank you, man.
Incredible. But, as ever, guys, at Battle Resume, check out the Patreon, give us a message, battlerapresume@gmail.com. Thanks so much. And Shox, thanks again, man.
No worries, brother. Thank you.